the GPU, pulling their GPUs to create the largest distributed computer ever. 1 million gamers united to counterstrike the COVID-19 coronavirus. The result was 2.8 exaflops, 5 times the processing power of the world's largest supercomputer to simulate the virus. Folding at home was able to simulate 100 milliseconds, a tenth of a second in the life of the coronavirus, and captured.
Bueno, es la presentación de Nvidia con sus nuevas tarjetas gráficas. Así que bueno, vamos a ver cómo está todo aquí. Realmente creo que debemos estar en directo sin ningún problema, sin ninguna interrupción. Así que bueno, perfecto. Vamos a minimizar esto de acá. Vamos a ver qué es lo que nos muestran aquí. Y bueno, vamos a ver qué tal va el directo del día de hoy. Mientras voy a poner a ver cómo vamos nosotros con el audio y cómo va todo aquí, aunque yo creo que estoy un poco saturado. Ahí, perfecto.
GeForce PC gaming is large and thriving. Its open and rapidly advancing technology, combined with the amazing creativity of the community, makes magic. Anyone could be a broadcaster now. Add a GeForce and you have a personal broadcast station. Pros stream their practices. Experts stream tips and tricks. Friends stream to friends just to hang out. There are over 20 million streamers. Games have become a new art medium. In Minecraft, gamers can build their work of art. Machinima artists create cinematics made from game assets. Tens of millions are using games to express their creativity. Inside a computer simulation,
ahora mismo están explicando lo que es cómo hacer streamings o videos en vivo con la placa de video.
Esports captures the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, and the human drama of athletic competition. Esports is on its way to be the biggest sport. I have something special for all the GeForce gamers around the world. 4 gifts. I hope you like them, and you'll find new ways to game. First, big news. FORTNITE is turning RTX on. Now Minecraft and FORTNITE, the #1 and #2 most played games in the world, have RTX on. FORTNITE will get ray trace shadows, reflections, ambient occlusion, and DLSS 2. These effects look fantastic with the art style of FORTNITE. I can't wait to see a FORTNITE concert with RTX on. The last one with Travis Scott
RTX en Fortnite. Ojo, ojo con eso.
Epic made a trailer for you. Let's play it now.
Ahí nos están explicando que Unreal Engine está trabajando con Nvidia. Así que bueno, ahí estamos viendo la presentación porque Fortnite va a traer RTX. Ahí está. DLS próximamente. Estoy saliendo. Ahí está.
This is a game of milliseconds. Reaction time is a combination of the gamer and the machine. Let me explain.
Creo que voy a tener copyright en el directo, así que
the opponent is traveling at 1500 pixels per second, and it's visible in this opening for only 180 milliseconds. A typical gamer has a reaction time of 150.
Va a traer el DLS, que es básicamente un reescalado de la imagen sin perder calidad y bueno, poder jugar en 4K con una computadora en 1080.
Far greater than 30 milliseconds, many up to 100 milliseconds. Today we're announcing a new esports technology called Nvidia Reflex. Nvidia Reflex optimizes the rendering pipeline across CPU and GPU to reduce latency by up to 50%. In September, we're releasing Reflex with our game-ready driver. Over 100 million GeForce gamers will instantly become more competitive. Valorant, Fortnite, Apex Legends, Call of Duty Warzone, and Destiny 2 will be the first to integrate Reflex technology. Esports pros and enthusiasts strive for zero latency. For you, we're announcing an insanely fast and beautiful display. A 360Hz G-Sync display designed for esports. This display has a built-in precision latency analyzer. Just connect your mouse. The Nvidia 360Hz G-Sync esports displays are arriving this fall from Acer, Alienware, ASUS, and MSI. We've made a video comparing gaming on a 60Hz, 144Hz, and 360Hz display. You can see immediately how 360.
Bueno, ahora mismo nos están explicando lo que es los 360 FPS. Si ya solamente es difícil jugar a 60, imagínate a 360 tenés que tener un monitor. Y bueno, acá nos están presentando un panel de Nvidia Broadcast. Ok.
Algorithms trained by deep learning on Nvidia's DGX supercomputer, one of the most powerful in the world. Effects like audio noise removal, virtual background effects whether graphics or video.
Ok, nos están diciendo que es una cosa muy importante para el sector de los videojugadores profesionales para hacer su transmisión en directo de su partida.
GeForce Marketing will now show you NVIDIA Broadcast.
Hey everybody, I'm Brandon and I'm very excited today to talk to you about our NVIDIA Broadcast app. Like many of you, I've been home a lot more lately. I've been video conferencing all day and then gaming and streaming all night, and I have a very basic webcam and microphone setup. NVIDIA Broadcast makes these things supercharged with a lot of new awesome features that really bring it out using the power of AI and RTX GPUs. The first one I want to talk about is noise removal. So I've asked my girlfriend to join me with a blow dryer here, and that distracting sound makes it very hard to understand what I'm saying. But when I turn on noise removal in NVIDIA Broadcast, you find that it's completely gone, and that blow dryer is still going. But NVIDIA Broadcast
Nos
isn't
está
just awesome
mostrando
audio
que ya
features.
viene
There's some
incorporado
really
lo que
exciting
es
video
el
features.
RTX Voice, o sea que lo que pasa a la vuelta no va a pasar absolutamente nada y en el micrófono y va a salir solamente nuestra voz, por eso es que mostró a la chica ahí secándose el pelo y bueno, no se escucha. Oh, también nos está mostrando que van a tener blur en el video.
Low to high and everything in between. Or, if I want, I can actually replace the background altogether.
Básicamente nos están enseñando a usar Nvidia Broadcast, que es el programa de streaming para gamers, digamos, y para usar la tarjeta gráfica.
Together and jump into some Valorant. And now I'm playing with a green screen effect without actually having to have one at home. I don't have to play good, but at least I can look good. Now sometimes when I'm video conferencing or doing a just chatting stream, I want to zoom in to get a more personal connection with the audience. But the problem is I bounce around so much, it's easy for my head to get out of frame. With the auto frame feature, it's like having your own personal cameraman that follows you wherever you go. So, if for example, I wanted to reach over and grab my cool Valorant hat and show it to everybody, it follows me every step of the way. I just find NVIDIA Broadcast to be really exciting, as both a streamer and as someone who works from home. The ability
Bueno,
to
ahí
remove
no
distracting
entendí bien
noise,
qué es lo que quiso
improve your
decir. Parece que es
background,
un seguimiento
keep
del
yourself in the
rostro
center of the
o algo
frame
así,
are all
pero
awesome
no
features
comprendí
in
bien lo
one
que quiso
app,
decir.
and I just can't wait for you guys to try it.
A new form of art has emerged from gaming called machinima. Artists are using game assets to create cinematics. There's been tens of billions of views on YouTube. Most are shorts. Some are even recreating entire classic movies. It's becoming a whole new art genre. Today, I'm going to show you an app that will make these cinematics amazing. It's called Nvidia Omniverse Machinima. It's an app built on our Omniverse 3D workflow.
A ver, el programa este de grabación de video, de streaming, me imagino que va a ser un driver para todas las tarjetas gráficas, porque imagínate que te tenés que comprar una placa de video nueva para poder usarlo. No le veo sentido.
Simulating light, physics, material, and artificial intelligence. We have connectors for most third-party design tools, like 3ds Max, Maya, Photoshop, Epic Unreal, Rhino, and many more. The Machinima app brings in elements and assets from games and third-party collections like TurboSquid, and lets you mix and compose them into a cinematic. Creators can use their webcam to drive our AI-based post estimator to animate characters. Drive face animation AI with your voice. Add high-fidelity physics like particles and fluids. Make materials physically accurate. And then when done with your composition and mixing, render film quality cinematics with your RTX GPU. NVIDIA Omniverse Machinima. Beta in October. Sign up at NVIDIA.
Cabe destacar que esto es para los desarrolladores de videojuegos, para que sea más fácil el tracking de la cara, del cuerpo y demás, así que en este caso está bastante bien.
Guys are getting better.
For 40 years, since Nvidia researcher Turner Whitted first published his paper on ray tracing, computer science researchers have chased this dream to create super realistic virtual worlds with real-time ray tracing. Nvidia, seeing the ultimate limits of rasterization approaching, focused intense efforts over the past 10 years to realize real-time ray tracing on a large scale. At SIGGRAPH 2 years ago, we announced the Nvidia RTX. Now 2 years later, it is clear we have reinvented computer graphics.
Si vieron una explicación bastante intensa de lo que es el RTX, déjenme procesar bien lo que dice y ahí les explico bien cómo es.
But it is so much more. It includes new engine tech and a bunch of new rendering algorithms. RTX is a home run. All major 3D APIs have been extended for RTX. RTX is supported by all major 3D tools. RTX tech is incorporated into all major game engines. There are hundreds of games in development and thousands of research papers of new rendering and AI algorithms enabled by RTX. The RTX GPU has 3 fundamental processors: the programmable shader that we first introduced over 15 years ago, RT Core to accelerate the ray triangle and ray bounding box intersections, an AI processing pipeline called Tensor Core. Tensor Core accelerates linear algebra that is used for deep neural network processing, the foundation of modern AI. AI is the most powerful technology force of our time. Computers that learn from data and write software that no humans can. The advances are nothing short of breathtaking. Nvidia is doing groundbreaking work in this area. You might have seen our work in self-driving cars and robotics. Computer graphics and gaming will also be revolutionized by deep learning. Let me show you some recent works and the art of the possible. The first video is a generative adversarial network that has learned to synthesize virtual characters of any artistic genre, including photorealistic. Second is a neural network that animates a 3D face directly from voice.
You require more Vespine gas. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
The AI character can speak in any language, be any gender, and even rap and sing. Third is a character locomotion of infinite number of positions. Imagine negotiating arbitrary paths and
Todo lo que
obstacles.
están explicando ahora mismo no está relacionado al mundo de los videojuegos. Están más que todo el formato para las empresas desarrolladoras, ya sea de cine y de videojuegos. Por eso están mostrando todo lo que puede hacer RTX.
Finally, this deep learning model of ray tracing can predict colors of missing pixels, so that fewer rays need to be cast and fewer pixels need to be fully rendered. We can achieve orders of magnitude speedups. AI is certain to play a giant role in the future of computer graphics and gaming.
A ver, ahora mismo sí está siendo bastante aburrida la presentación, pero nos están presentando cosas más que todo empresariales que para el gaming. No sé si la presentación era para esto.
Here's the challenge. Real-time ray tracing is far more beautiful but requires a lot more computation per pixel than rasterization. So the solution is to ray trace fewer pixels and use AI on tensor cores to up-res to super-res to a higher resolution and boost frame rate. DLSS took nearly 2 years of intensive research. We built a supercomputer to train the network. The DLSS model is trained on extremely high quality, 16K, offline rendered images of many kinds of content. Once trained, the model is downloaded into your driver. At runtime, DLSS 2.0 takes
Y él
low
es
resolution
básicamente
aliased image
un
and motion
estiramiento
vector
de
frame.
resolución, ya sea que juguemos en 720p o Full HD, lo estiremos a 4K sin perder calidad y hay veces que mejora la calidad. Eso es DLS, o sea, el estiramiento de la resolución y mejorando la calidad. Ahí están mostrando bien cómo es. Ahí perfectamente.
And created detail from AI that native rendering didn't even show. And the frame rate is higher. Reviewers have loved DLSS 2.0. They say its quality beats out native rendering and runs even faster. You can play at 4K without a performance hit. Tensor Core effectively gives RTX a 2x performance boost. Let's look at one frame trace of a game to see the process.
O sea, no solamente hacer un crop y estirar al máximo la resolución, sino es que mejora la calidad a través de inteligencia artificial.
And object
Eso es lo que nos
intersection
están
reduces
mostrando
the
ahora
frame
mismo.
rate. We added the RT core, which reduces shader workload by 60%.
Los Tensor Core, que son los procesadores de las tarjetas gráficas RTX.
Calculations. Using the same methodology as Microsoft Xbox, the RT core is effectively a 34 teraflop shader, and Turing has an equivalent of 45 teraflops while ray tracing. Even with RT Core, the amount of time consumed is significant. So RT Core and shaders have to run concurrently. Even then, 20 milliseconds is only 50 frames per second, and still a step back in performance relative to previous generations. This is where the Tensor Core and DLSS come in. Rendering to a lower resolution, then using AI and super fast Tensor Core to effectively double frame rate. Now you can get ray tracing, get high resolution, and high frame rate at the same time. That's the magic of the 3 processors of RTX. Turing was our first generation RTX GPU, combining ray tracing, programmable shading, and AI. The flagship Turing had a ton of processing power, 11 shader teraflops, 34 RT teraflops, and 89 tensor teraflops. Let me show you our new RTX GPU. Ampere is a giant leap in performance. Ampere does 2 shader calculations per clock versus 1 on Turing, 30 shader teraflops compared to 11. Ampere doubles ray triangle intersection throughput. Ampere's RT core delivers 58 RT teraflops compared to
Ok, lo
Turing's.
que nos estaba mostrando es lo que ya tenemos y ahora lo que va a traer de nuevo las tarjetas gráficas de Nvidia.
And the new Tensor Core hardware processed the sparse network at twice the rate of Turing. 238 tensor flops compared to 89. Ladies and gentlemen, Nvidia's new Ampere GPU.
Ok,
Our second.
la nueva generación pues va a traer lo que son el doble de núcleos que tenía anteriormente las tarjetas gráficas de ahora, o sea la 2080, bueno la 3090 pues va a traer el doble y todas las otras tarjetas gráficas van a traer el doble de Tensor Cores que no tenían las tarjetas gráficas que tienen las tarjetas gráficas de ahora.
2 times the performance and energy efficiency of Turing. At Nvidia, we use every engineering lever to squeeze every.
Si es el doble, la 3090 va a ser muy cara y excesivamente polenta. Va a ser muy buena tarjeta gráfica.
Thermal design, PCB design, software and algorithms. Thousands of engineers per generation, billions of dollars. Full stack engineering and extreme craftsmanship is the hallmark of our GPUs.
Ok, nos está diciendo que va a tener eficiencia térmica.
Are all world class. And real application performance highlights Ampere's new RT core. The more ray tracing is done, the greater the Ampere speedup. Ampere RT core doubles ray intersection processing. Its ray tracing is processed concurrently with shading. And Ampere can render cinematic images with motion blur 8 times faster than Turing. Let's take a look at Ampere in action. At our kitchen GTC a few months ago, we showed Marbles, the world's first fully path-traced, photorealistic real-time graphics. It was running on our highest-end Turing Quadro RTX 8000. Turing was doing 720p, 25 frames per second. Today, we're going to run an enhanced version of Marbles with even more special effects, and it is running at 1440p, 30 frames per second, over 4 times the performance. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy Marbles at night.
Nos están mostrando básicamente la tecnología de estas tarjetas gráficas, que es bastante más polenta que lo que tenemos actualmente. Parece de verdad, o sea, no parece un render de una computadora. Imagínense renderizar ese mismo proyecto que nos están mostrando ahí.
Path traced, no rasterization, all real time.
Se va a hacer en tiempo real. casi.
There are hundreds of area lights, including spherical area lights. There's no pre-baking, everything is dynamic. The depth of field is film quality and beautiful.
Se ve muy bien se ve.
Everything is dynamic. Diffuse GI, all dynamic. There are hundreds of rigid bodies, 80 million triangles. Materials are physically accurate, physics simulation and volumetric rendering in real time.
Jugar a las bolitas con RTX.
DLSS 2.0 is doing the super resolution and AI denoising.
¿Se imagina que los juegos nuevos tengan esa calidad gráfica? Que tengan esa luminosidad.
At 720p, 25 frames per second.
Ok.
Marbles in Ampere
Nos están
runs at
mostrando que es
1440p, 30
Ampere,
frames per second.
1440p a
More than
30
4 times the
FPS.
performance.
Bien.
And Ampere even did area lights and depth of field. A giant performance leap. Today's games are giant worlds, indoor and out, with photogrammetry, dense geometry, and lots of characters. Games are over 200 gigabytes and getting bigger. This is like 50,000 songs or 400 hours of streaming video. Games have pushed PC I/O and file systems to the breaking point. CPUs copy files from disk and decompress the game image. This is fine when the storage system was slow, 50 to 100 megabytes per second. Now with Gen 4 PCI Express and solid-state drives, PCs can transfer data at 7 gigabytes per second, 100 times faster. CPU copying data to memory and decompressing game images is now the bottleneck. Decompressing data from 100 megabytes per second hard drives takes only a few CPU cores. However, decompressing from 7 gigabytes per second SSDs on PCIe Gen 4 takes over 20 CPU cores. Today, we're announcing Nvidia RTX I/O with 3 new advances. New I/O APIs for fast loading and streaming directly from SSD to GPU memory. GPU lossless decompression. And collaboration with Microsoft on direct storage for Windows that streamlines the transfer of data from storage to GPU memory. With Nvidia RTX I/O, vast worlds will load instantly. Picking up where you left off will be instant. This is a very big deal for next generation gaming. Let me show you Ampere in action in one of the most
Acá nos están
anticipated games of
explicando
2020.
básicamente que el SSD va directamente a la placa de video y no al procesador. Entonces la velocidad de almacenamiento de los archivos es rapidísima. Por eso es que va del SSD a la placa de video. Pero hay que tener un SSD de los nuevos y súper veloces. Ojo, Cyberpunk 2077, Ray Tracing. Próximamente trailer, ya empezamos con los trailers de los juegos, ojo. Nos están mostrando claramente la calidad gráfica de este juego, que es increíble, el Cyberpunk 2077 con RTX, 19 de noviembre, ojo, anoten la fecha. Parece que va a salir el juego.
Our new flagship GPU, the Nvidia GeForce RTX 3080, powered by Ampere, second generation RTX architecture.
Ok, ahora vamos a tener un repaso de todas las tarjetas gráficas que fueron saliendo. Las tope de gama, 980, 1080, Turing. Nosotros probamos en el canal la 1030. Ok, acá nos está mostrando básicamente la tecnología y lo que trae nuevo. GDDR6, 16 gigabits por minuto, 760 gigas. 230 tensor teraflops, estructura y DLSS. Segunda generación de RT cores. Bien. Ahí nos están mostrando el ensamble de cómo va a ser la tarjeta gráfica, pero no la que vamos a comprar, sino, o sea, la que venderían, sino la de referencia. Después las otras marcas van a hacer su modelo y puede ser más caro o más barato. Ok, nos está mostrando la refrigeración. Entra aire frío, sale aire caliente. Doble ventilador por la parte superior y la parte inferior. De Ultimate Plate RTX 3080.
3080.
Linda placa de video. ¿Cuántos bancos habrá que robar para comprarla? Ahí la van a mostrar.
It is beautiful. Look at this. The RTX 3080.
Está buenísima.
It is wonderfully crafted.
Va a salir si la
It's gonna look
3080
beautiful in
Ti
the
está
PC.
100,
And it lights
200
up.
o 300.
Now let me tell you about some of the other exciting technologies inside.
La placa de video estuvo ahí todo el
Turing
tiempo.
used
No la vimos.
G6, the fastest memories at that time. The industry thought that was the limit. For Ampere, we had to push through that limit. Working with Micron, we designed the world's first memories with PAM4 signaling.
Tiene un diseño que te puede gustar o no te puede gustar. A mí me parece buena, pero debe estar ultra salada.
Each voltage step is only 250 millivolts. So in the same period of time, G6X can transmit twice as much data as G6. PAM4 is extreme signaling technology, and it's just becoming used in high-speed networking. The Ampere thermal architecture is the first ever.
Ok, acá justo como les estaba diciendo, nos están mostrando la disipación de la tarjeta gráfica para que no se ultra caliente.
Side, flowing through the GPU and pushing hot air straight out the chassis.
Y no tengamos cuello térmico y la tarjeta gráfica pueda funcionar siempre lo mejor posible.
Super dense PCB design that is 50% smaller than previous, while adding the bigger Ampere GPUs, HDMI 2.1, PCI Express 4.0, and G6X. There are two independently controlled fans. The bracket front fan pulls cool air from the bottom.
Pero el
and
aire caliente se está yendo a la memoria RAM. No me
side
gusta.
pull-through fan passes cool air over the fins of the heat pipe and directs the hot air to the top and back of the chassis.
El aire caliente del
to be
ventilador que va
exhausted
para
by the
arriba
system
está yendo a la
fan.
memoria RAM.
The 3080
Sí.
flow-through system
Va a quemar la
is
RAM.
3 times 20 degrees cooler than the Turing design. It can cool 90 watts more than Turing. The generational leap is ultimately the most important factor of new GPUs. A significant technology advance is needed to inspire content developers to create the next level of content and for the install base to upgrade. Let's see how the 3080 stacks up to previous generation architectures on the latest graphics intensive games. 3080 is faster than 2080 Ti. 3080 is twice the performance of 2080 at the same price. Ampere is the biggest generational leap we've ever had.
El aire caliente se va a ir para arriba, para la memoria RAM o el procesador. Vamos a tener que tener una muy buena refrigeración en la computadora.
Our second generation RTX GPU architecture. Incredible amounts of processing in the shader, RT ray tracing core, and tensor core for processing AI. 10 gigabytes of
El
G6X,
precio va a salir lo
twice the
mismo que una
processing
30.
power of 2080. Starting at
Va a valer,
$699.
la 3080 Ti va a valer lo mismo que la 2080 Ti.
One of our most
Va, la
popular
30, la
GPUs is the
3090.
70 series.
La 3080 va a valer lo
970,
mismo. Ahí están los
1070,
precios.
2070 were all hugely popular. You're going to love the new RTX 3070. Faster than the 2080 Ti, the Turing enthusiast
A ver
GPU
los
priced
precios.
at $1,200.
Va a estar
Ladies
salada,
and gentlemen,
seguro. Salada.
the new GeForce RTX 3070. Let me show it to you.
$700.
It's a work of art. 20 shader teraflops,
Algo así como
40 RT teraflops, and
$700, 70,000
163
pesos.
teraflops
No va a
tensor
bajar
core
de
for
100.
AI processing.
No va a
With
bajar de
8
100.
gigabytes of G6, RTX 3070 is faster
Ok, ahora
than
nos
the
están mostrando la
$1,200
versión
RTX
menor, la
2080 Ti,
3070.
starting at $499, available in October.
$500, precio base.
repacking our best ideas to increase
La
performance,
3070,
while introducing new features that
Muy
enhance
buen
image quality.
precio. Muy buen
Every
precio.
couple of
$500.
generations, the
Lo más
stars
probable
align,
que salga
as
va a
it did with
salir lo
Pascal,
mismo que una
and we
PlayStation
get a
5.
giant generational leap.
$500.
Pascal was known as the
Muy buen
perfect
precio.
10.
Muy buen precio por
Pascal
esa
was a
placa de
huge
video.
success and set a very high bar. It took the super family of Turing to meaningfully exceed Pascal on game performances without ray
Porque
tracing.
con la 3070
With ray
vamos a
tracing
poder
turned
jugar
on, Pascal,
todo.
using programmable shaders to
Todo lo
compute
que
ray
existe
triangle intersections,
a
fell
4K.
far behind Turing's RT core. And Turing with ray tracing on reached the same performance as Pascal.
Y acá en
with ray
Argentina
tracing off.
50.000 no la veo a
On a technical
50.000.
basis,
También
this was a
70,
huge achievement.
seguro.
The images are far
75
more beautiful,
mil pesos.
and reflection and shadow
Más,
artifacts
menos.
are gone. But gamers want it more. They want every generation to be more realistic and higher frame rate at the same time. So we double down on everything. Twice the shader, twice the ray tracing, and twice the tensor core. The triple double. Ampere knocks the daylights out of Pascal on ray tracing. And even with ray tracing on, crushes Pascal on frame rate. To all my Pascal gamer friends, it is safe to upgrade now. Amazing ray tracing games are coming.
Call of Duty Cold War.
Activision and
Ojo.
developer Treyarch are launching a new Call of Duty on November 13th. It's a masterpiece and it looks incredible. Their dynamic lights, ray tracing,
Nos están mostrando la
shadows, and
potencia
ambient
bruta de esta
occlusion,
tarjeta
DLSS
gráfica que va a
2.0,
ser 4K
and Nvidia
60
Reflex super low
con la
latency technology.
3080.
The last Call of Duty sold an
RTX
amazing
activado.
30 million copies. Activision put together this trailer of never before seen footage.
Red Tracing,
Enjoy.
gameplay de Call of Duty. A ver, todavía la tope de gama no salió. Capaz que la dejan para el final. La 3090 sí, esa se va a ir re lejos, a las nubes el precio seguramente. El tráiler no cambia mucho a la PlayStation. No cambia mucho el tráiler.
Thing. Several years ago, we started building the Titan, pushing the GPU to the absolute limit to create the best graphics card of that generation. It was built in limited quantities only through Nvidia. The distribution was limited. The demand surprised us. Creatives were making 4K movies, rendering cinematics. Researchers built
Ojo el renderizado de video con las tarjetas gráficas.
stations. Flight and racing simulation fans built sim rigs. There is clearly a need for a giant GPU that is available all over the world. So we made a giant Ampere. Ladies and gentlemen, the RTX 3090. Come here. Come here, Papa. Alrighty.
3090, la tope de gama de este año. La bestia.
6 shader teraflops, 69 RT
Parece
teraflops,
gigante.
285 tensor teraflops, and it comes with a massive 24 gigabytes of G6X. It comes with a silencer, a 3-slot dual axle flow-through design, 10 times quieter, and keeps the GPU 30 degrees cooler than the Titan RTX design.
O te compras un auto o una camioneta de alta gama o eso. No, mira lo que es eso.
Games at 60 frames per second in 8K. This is insane. Because it's impossible for us to show you what it looks like on the stream, we invited some friends to check it out. Roll the clip.
$1,490. $1,490, sí, es muy sabido, es la mejor tarjeta gráfica a día de hoy. No, es muy polenta. $1,490. 8K. 8K. Están locos. No.
This is amazing.
Están loquísimos.
The resolution on this is sick.
Imagínate tener esa, la PlayStation
You can see wear and tear
5.
on the treads. Look at
Nada,
this.
nada.
Why is it so detailed?
Tener la 3090, un monitor y tener que tener un ultra procesador.
Not a whole lot of people have seen something like this.
This is so realistic. I feel
Estamos
like I'm
viendo
really
que
in battle.
en 8K
This is
es
insane.
ridículo.
I want to look at the pretty things. There we go. Dude, the ray tracing is
Es
insane
8K,
on this.
These are the
es
sizzle
8K.
reels that you see,
This is basically hacks.
and then it's like it'll never look like that, but it does.
El que tenga la posibilidad seguramente se va a volver loco.
that are happening right now.
No,
Holy shit,
es
look at
increíble.
This feels like a Disneyland experience. Oh, it is so smooth. It's butter.
Oh, it's smooth as shit, dude.
I can't believe it's not butter.
I mean, this is game changing. There's no other way to put it.
O sea,
My mind.
jugar una pantalla gigante en 8K
Wow.
ya
It's been 20
superó a
years
la...
since the
o
Nvidia
sea,
GPU
están en la
introduced
Play
program
6
machine.
prácticamente, en la
The
Xbox
GPU
Series
revolutionized modern
X,
computer graphics.
no sé.
Developers jumped
Están
on
en
and
otra
invented
generación.
clever algorithms, like shaders that simulate realistic materials, or post-processing effects for soft shadows.
Es otra
ambient
generación,
occlusion, and
es
reflect.
otra... estar muy lejos de las consolas nuevas. O sea, no sé.
Meanwhile, Nvidia GPU processing increased a stunning 100,000-fold. Gaming became a powerful technology driver. Gamers grew to billions, and gaming pushed into all aspects of entertainment and culture. If the last 20 years was amazing, the next 20 will seem nothing
Pero el
short.
tamaño, miren el tamaño de la placa. Es gigante, muy grande, muy, muy grande.
Into the future. This is our greatest generational leap ever. The second generation NVIDIA RTX, fusing programmable shading, ray tracing, and artificial intelligence, gives us photorealistic graphics and the highest frame rates at the same time. Once the holy grail of computer graphics, ray tracing is now the standard. And Ampere is going to bring you joy beyond gaming. NVIDIA Reflex to improve your response time. NVIDIA Broadcast turns any room into a studio. And Omniverse Machinima turns you into an animated filmmaker. We are super pleased with 3070, 3080, and 3090, the first three members of the
De $700 la versión anterior a esta, la tope de gama, son $1,490.
RTX started. Homes will have holodecks. We will beam ourselves through time and space,
Con la Nvidia
traveling at the
RTX
speed of light,
3070 ya
sending
deja por
photons,
debajo
not
a
atoms.
todas
In this
las,
future,
las consolas de nueva
GeForce is your
generación, las
holodeck,
que van a
your
llegar.
Lightspeed
O sea,
Starship,
ya las dejan
your time
obsoletas,
machine.
de entrada nomás.
In this future, we will look back and realize that it started here. Beam ourselves through time and space, traveling at the speed of light, sending photons, not atoms. In this future, GeForce is your holodeck, your Lightspeed Starship, your time machine. In this future, we will look back and realize that it started here. Thank you for joining us today, and to all of our fans for celebrating the arrival of Ampere.
Ya terminó el evento. Duró, ¿qué? ¿40 minutos? Muy bien por parte de Nvidia. Han dicho los precios. A ver, vamos a recapitular. Tenemos la 3070, $500. Tenemos la 3080, $800. Y la 3090, $1,490. En conclusiones, las placas de video que presentaron ahora dejaron muy por debajo a las consolas que van a salir, PlayStation 5 y Xbox Series X. Lejos. El precio que van a llegar a la Argentina no tengo ni la más remota idea, porque claramente sí va a ser mucho más caro de lo que... A ver, voy a poner acá. Va a ser ultra caro seguramente. Y bueno, esto ha sido el evento de Nvidia GeForce. Exageradamente bueno. No presentaron muchos juegos, solamente dos. Vamos a quitar el sonido acá. Ahí está. Todas las tarjetas gráficas que presentaron ahora dejan por debajo a cualquier consola que va a salir en el futuro. 8K 60 con la tope de gama de $1,490. 8K. No sé quién la va a tener, pero 8K se va a poder jugar. Después tenemos 4K 60 y 4K 30 con la 3070. Es ridículo, son muy grandes. ¿Qué empezó de nuevo? No, es increíble. La 3090 es súper gigante. Pero bueno, nada. Esto ha sido el evento de Nvidia. Fue bastante bueno. No presentaron muchos juegos, así que no hay problema por eso. Pero bueno, nos estuvieron mostrando todas las polentas que van a tener estas tarjetas gráficas. Así que bueno, chicos, yo me despido. Voy a dejar este directo por aquí. Y bueno, son muy polentas las tarjetas gráficas que han presentado. Y bueno, ya dejando por debajo a la PlayStation 5 y Xbox Series X. Así que bueno, chicos, muchas gracias por haber estado y nos vemos en próximos videos. Adiós.